Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Hope from 2013, a South Korean film that I was curious to check out. And I do like Korean films. They're more or less movies that are up my alley that I tend to enjoy, or at least the ones I've seen. I can't really think of one that stands out as like bad, but this one I really enjoyed. I thought it was pretty good. And I did feel as though it hit the emotions that it was trying to, and it does have a few different tones going on, and none of these tones feel clashing or out of place at any given moment. Don't know how it does it, but it just makes it feel natural. Like sometimes it's dark and disturbing, other times it's kind of fun and lighthearted and a little cutesy in ways, I guess you could classify it as. Sometimes it's serious, and it all just flows pretty naturally, in my opinion. And I thought the movie looked good. There were some memorable shots in this movie that I thought looked nice. And the characters, especially the side characters, were fun and likable, and I liked them a lot. I did find them to be relatable, even if they're doing things that you might not do yourself. You can at least understand where they're coming from, and I do like how this movie does handle different sides of an argument. I do feel as though what it was going for worked for the most part. I did like the music. It wasn't incredible or anything, but I didn't feel as though it was out of place from memory. And once we get to the hospital in this movie, I thought it was very effective and pretty disturbing. And I do like how this movie tries to be realistic as possible, and it doesn't do anything so out of place. It doesn't just have the characters be idiots for no reason. And if characters are stupid, then it makes sense as to why they would do that, because they actually have a character to play. And whenever the movie is focused on the main girl in this movie, that's when the movie is at its best, or in the hospital scenes. And it does cover quite a few different things. And I will say that there were parts where I wasn't fully invested, but at the very least, I can say I didn't feel the runtime. Like, I wasn't necessarily bored. I was just feeling, yeah, there are just some parts of this movie that I prefer to be, because they're just more effective and not just realistic, but also something that I would feel as though, yeah, that's interesting to explore. Now, do I think this movie is perfect? No, I do have some issues with it. Like one example being some of the editing was choppy, especially towards the beginning, most notably in the factory area. Like once we get to where the dad is working and he gets called out because it's a lunch break or something. I was like, yeah, the editing in the scene is like not great. I feel so it could have been a bit better. And I also wasn't a fan of some choices regarding this movie's presentation. I just feel as though they could have shown a little bit less, but there were still effective moments by not showing you key things. Like, I just wish that one thing was shown less. That's all I can say about it without getting into spoilers. And there was also some cheesy moments. I'm like, okay, why are you doing this? Or a character just doing something where I feel as though this kind of feels weird. Why are you doing this? And I did mention earlier that sometimes characters are stupid in ways that make sense, but I also do feel as though characters should have approached a specific subject or topic or situation a bit differently, in my opinion. But aside from that, the only other issue that I have with this movie, without spoiling anything, is that I do feel as though this movie kind of had two different endings, and it was kind of weird and off-putting, and I was like, why is this here? This doesn't really make sense as far as the structure is concerned. Maybe if you ordered it differently, it would have felt a bit more natural, but I don't know, it just felt odd to me. And a couple things that I did make of note as I was watching this movie is that there were times where the main dad character in this movie reminded me a little bit of Hugh Jackman in Prisoners, just with the character. I was like, okay, that's kind of giving me some vibes of that. And ultimately, this movie is kind of what I wanted A Time to Kill to be. Where I wasn't really a fan of that movie. I know there are plenty of people who like it, but in terms of presentation, I'm just able to connect with this one a lot more, and I just like it a lot better. And also, now to get into a little nerdy thing, and this is not something that's present throughout the film. It's only like a couple shots in which it's present, and that is Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going to talk about that for a little bit because when that first showed up in the movie, it was pretty early on. And I was like, oh, they're talking about cards. I wonder what they're talking about. Oh, it's Yu-Gi-Oh cards because I'm familiar with that. I was like, okay, let's see if I can recognize any of these cards. And it took me a minute, but there was one shot where you could see one card pretty clearly, and I think it was intentional. It was Black Rose Dragon, and I'll get into that as to why I feel as though that was intentional, not just like, oh, kind of random to show that card. It's because, and this is kind of out there, but maybe this could tie into what the movie is getting at, is that the card Black Rose Dragon in the actual game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And how it was used, basically it has an effect is when it's played, I'm just going to say this as simplistic as I possibly can, when it's played in a very specific way, you can destroy all cards on the field. And basically how it was used in the actual game is just like bomb the field to make it clean, and everyone has to start all over again from scratch, basically. And that's kind of how I view that in this movie, is that once that card was revealed, I do feel as though it was kind of foreshadowing like a bomb is about to come. And I thought that was kind of cool. And it did show up a couple of times, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. And when I say bomb, I don't mean like an actual bomb or an explosion by any means. More or less like something big and bad is going to happen. And I guess that could technically be minor spoilers, technically, but I don't know. I do feel as though there might be something there. And I was also expecting to see Stardust Dragon there, but that never happened. Because that's pretty much the antithesis of Black Rose Dragon. You tribute it or sacrifice it for a more simplistic way of saying it. And if a card would destroy another card on the field, you tribute Stardust Dragon to negate the activation and then destroy it. So it's basically just sacrificing itself to prevent destruction, basically. So I was expecting that to happen, but that never happened. I did see Gachi Gachi Kentatsu, that card, which I don't know if people really would recognize, but I was able to notice it because the picture was the same. But anyways, after that ramble, I thought that was kind of cool. But anyways, pretty solid movie. Really enjoyed it. Would definitely recommend you check it out. It was on YouTube for free, and I just came across it. I was like, why not? Let's see what this is. And it was pretty good. It's actually a movie on YouTube that's free, that's worth watching. So check this movie out whenever you get the chance. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Hope from 2013 a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Hope, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for A Taxi Driver. Not to be confused with Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro, directed by Martin Scorsese. No, this is a different one. A Taxi Driver. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.